Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's class. In today's class, we will look into advanced CSS. So here we are going to see some of the concepts, advanced concepts, and how those things will impact your layout and how to utilize them and how to make a very good design of the UI. We will see all those things in this particular session. Uh, First thing we are going to look is normal flow. What is the meaning of the normal flow? Positioning of the elements, how the elements are positioned in the HTML document. Then what is floating of the elements, multi-column layouts and approaches to CSS layout, and we'll see what is a responsive design and where it is useful, why we have to focus more on the responsive design. Then lastly, CSS frameworks. The first one is the normal flow. What is the meaning of the normal flow? Normal flow refers how the browser will normally display the block level elements and the inline elements. So there are two types of elements: block level elements and the inline elements, from left to right and from top to the bottom. So horizontal display as well as the vertical. Horizontal is left to right and vertical is from top to bottom. And what is the meaning of block level elements? These block level elements are contained in their own block and on their own line, right? So it will be displayed on its own line. For example, what are the block level elements are? Paragraph, div, h2, then ul, unordered list, table. All these elements are contained in their own line, so they will be on a separate line. If I have a p paragraph and then div, the paragraph would be on the first line, next div would be on the second line. So those are called as a block level elements. And next one is the inline elements. uh, these inline elements, they do not have their own blocks. What will happen? They go in line wherever the other elements are there, it goes in line with them. Those are called as a inline element. Inline elements do not form their own blocks, but instead are displayed within the lines. Wherever those kinds of elements, HTML elements are em. Em is emphasized. We saw this in one of the example. Em will make a particular text bold, so it emphasizes. And this you already know: anchor, then image tag, and the span tag. So these are inline. They do not have their they do not get displayed on the separate line, so they will go in line with the whatever the line they are used. This is the normal flow. You can see we have a h1 element, then ul, paragraph, div, h2, and again paragraph. So all these elements are the block level elements. So this is the block level elements, and they will be displayed on their own line. So for the horizontal display, they will by default, they will use the complete width of the parent. So here the parent is, you can say we don't have the HTML code, but we will say these are inside the body tag. So whatever is the browser viewport, that will form as a complete parent. So it will take the width will be the complete size of the parent, and whatever is the content, that is going to be the, it will be on displayed on a separate line. And all the block elements, they will be displayed from top to bottom, okay, on a separate line. So each block exists on its own line and is displayed in a normal flow from the browser's windows, top to its bottom. So if you have all these elements from top to bottom, it will be displayed. By default, each block level elements fills up the entire width. So by default, it will fill up the entire width. However, you can use the attributes by setting the width. Using the CSS, you can select the width, but by default it will take the complete width. Then you can use CSS box model properties to customize, for instance, the width of the box and the margin space between the block level elements. So using the CSS, you can change the width, and also you can use the margins, and you can have a margin between the each of these blocks. So that can be done, but by default it is going to use the complete width. So here is the example. This is the HTML. You can see here everything is inside the paragraph. So we have everything inside the paragraph. Inside the paragraph, I have a text, this photo. Then I have a image HTML. So inside the image HTML tag, I have source. This is alternate name, and this is the closing of the image element. Then again I have a text of conservatory pond, so on. Again I have a anchor tag here. It starts from here, it ends here, and it refers to this particular website, centralpark.com. Then after that, this anchor element has a content as a Central Park, and this is the closing anchor tag. Then again I have a some text, okay, New York City, so on. Then I have a strong element. Inside the strong element, I have a text content and the close of the paragraph. So how this is displayed is, you can see this is the browser window, and I have a paragraph, and all these elements, whatever the elements we are seeing here, they all are inline. So inside the paragraph, first text will be displayed, then we have the image, again some text is there. Once that complete width is taken over, it will come to the next line. Then we have the this anchor, then the we have another text here, another text, and I have a strong element, and again at the end we have the text. So everything goes inside this box. Now if I resize the window, now earlier the width was this much, now it is resized, the browser is resized, the width is reduced. Again it will realign according to this particular text, whatever the width is available, according to that it will resize all the elements inside the paragraph. Inline content is laid out horizontally left to right within its content. So it is laid out from left to right, so it will keep on displaying each element from left to right, and within that particular width of the container. Once it gets filled with the content, the next line will receive the remaining content, and so on. So that is how it will. Here the content of this paragraph element is displayed on two lines. Here it is displayed on two lines because we resize the window, it has flowed to the third line. Inline elements, there are actually two type of inline elements, replaced and non-replaced. What are the replaced inline elements? Those are the elements whose content and thus appearance is defined by some external resource, such as image and the various form elements. So for example, image and the other form elements, their appearance is decided by the some external resource. In case of an image, its appearance on the web page depends on what is the source, what is the image that you are sourcing here. Based on image appearance, its appearance is dependent. So that those are called as a replaced inline elements. And next one is a non-replaced inline elements, are those elements whose content is defined within the document, which includes all other inline elements. So these are like everything is defined inside, so inside the document, so there is no dependency on any external resources for the display on the particular web page. Now we have both block elements, block level elements, as well as inline elements. You can see this is the block element h1, this is paragraph block element, div is the block element, again ul, unordered list, is a block element. Inside this block element I have the inline elements, which will go from left to right, and it will use the complete span. Okay, whatever the width we have for that particular container, it will use. And paragraph, again inside the paragraph I have text, image, all those things. So depending upon the width, it will take it will get position from left to right, and if that width is not sufficient, it will flow to the next line. And this particular example, we have inline elements in the block level. This is also inline elements in the block. In this particular example, there are some block level elements inside. So this h2 is a block level element, paragraph, another paragraph. So this is an example. We have a block elements inside the block elements. When we have the block elements inside the block elements, some block level elements can contain other block level elements. Here is the example. We have all these things. In such case, block level content inside the parent is stacked from top to bottom within that particular container. So all these block elements, they will be stacked from top to bottom. The first block elements goes on the top, next one on the bottom, and so on. So it will be placed top to bottom within that container. And if this block level elements have any other inline elements, they follow the same rule. From left to right, they will go inline. And this is another example where we have the ul is the block level element, and li, what is a li? It is the listing of the items. Li, unordered list. When you do the unordered list, then using li you will provide the list, all the list values. So these are the li. So these li's are also block level elements. They will be placed inside their own line. If you remember, we had seen the unordered list, where each list will come on its own line. This li will come on the first line, this li will go on the next line. Now, is there any possibility of changing the block level or the inline level elements, the default property? Yes, we can do that. It is possible to change whether an element is a block level or a inline using a CSS display property. So using display property, we can make any element as either block or inline. By default, whatever we just saw, this list, these are by default. So by default, these are browser treats these elements as a block level and these elements as a inline elements. But you can override that property. Means you can change whatever is the default nature using a display property. So how you will do it? Span is it is a inline. You are changing it to block. You will be setting the property of display as block. And li, just we saw the previous example. All the li is a block level. It is displayed on their own line. If you have this property rule, okay, if you have this CSS rule, li display as inline, all the li in the document will be displayed as inline elements. Means they will be displayed in the same line. If there are 10 list items, all the 10 list items will be displayed left to right, okay, all along the width. If that particular width is not sufficient, then it will flow to the next line. These two rules will make all span elements behave like a block level elements and all li elements like a inline. Next, positioning of the elements. How we position these elements inside the HTML document. It is possible to move an item from its regular position in the normal flow. So just now we saw the a normal flow, how block elements are displayed and how the inline elements are displayed. So we can change that regular position of the normal flow. Move an item outside of the browser viewport so it is not visible. This is possible. We can totally move an item completely outside the viewport of the browser. then position it so it is always visible in a fixed position while the rest of the content scrolls. Means we can have a certain element in a fixed position while rest of the information is rest of the document is scrolling down. That can be done. The position property is used to specify the type of the positioning. So how to do that? We can use the position property. Using position property, we can do whatever we said so far. We can put it in a fixed position, or we can move out of totally from the browser viewport. All those things can be done. So for the position property, these are the different values that it can have. It can have a value of absolute, it can have a value of fixed, relative, and static. If you set the value of a position property as absolute, the element is removed from the normal flow and positioned in relation to its nearest positioned ancestor. So what will happen is, uh, if you specify the position as absolute, then it will be removed from the normal flow. Whatever the normal flow you just saw, it will not be displayed like that. Then how it will be displayed? It will be positioned, so its display will be positioned related to its nearest ancestor. So whichever the container it is inside, with respect to that ancestor, it will position itself. And positioning is always from the top and the left. Okay, from top left corner it will be positioned. Then if you set the value as fixed, in case of a absolute, what it will position itself from its ancestor, position of its ancestor. And in case of a fixed, the element is fixed in a specific position. Even the window is scrolled, the when the document is scrolled, that particular element will be in a fixed position. Suppose you have a web page like this, and you have certain position, certain element here, and you have set that position value as fixed. Then even though you are scrolling down, let us say you have a lot of information on your web page, and it goes into multiple pages, so that you have to scroll down to look out all the information. In that case, this particular element will remain in the same position even though the HTML document is scrolled down or scrolled up. And if you set the position value as relative, the element is moved relative to where it would be in the normal flow. So if you set it as a relative, let us say in case of a normal flow, it will be positioned in certain position. With respective to, with relation to that normal flow, it will position itself. Again, it will use the top left corner. It will be positioned from the top left corner. We will see the examples, then it will be very clear. Then we have a static element is positioned according to normal flow. This is the default. So if you use static, so it will be positioned as a normal flow, which is the default. Relative positioning. Okay, relative positioning of an element is displayed out of a normal flow position and moved relative to where it would have been placed. Means what? If you use the value as a relative, let us say a particular element will be positioned in normal flow at a particular position. If you specify it as a relative, it will position relative to its normal position. The other content around the relatively positioned element remembers the element's old position in the flow. Thus, the space the element would have occupied is preserved. We will see one example for that. This is the, I think this is the normal flow. We did not specify anything here. So this is this HTML document. We have head and the body. Head title is there. Inside the body, I have one paragraph. It starts here. It has some content. Then I have one figure. Inside the figure, I have one image and figure caption for that figure. Okay, that image. Then I have one more paragraph and the closing of the body. So this is the closing of the body. So basically I have one paragraph, I have figure, inside the figure I have image as well as the figure caption, and one more paragraph. Just we will display this particular HTML document in the browser. Okay, okay, this is the HTML. So this is how it will look like. So you can see this is the normal flow where this paragraph is a block element, this is a block element, and this one is the block element. So they are positioned top to bottom. Now we will see this one, position next element. Okay, now what is the change that has been done here is rest of the HTML document is same, paragraph, figure, HTML element, and paragraph. We have added a style inside the head. And what is the style we have added? We have added for the figure HTML element, and here border is specified, border 5pt, solid, this is the thickness of the border, solid line, and this is some color, and background color is set. Then padding is provided 5 pixel, and width is specified for that figure as 150 pixel. Then position, we are saying it as relative. Then top, and what is the position? This is from the top and this is from the left. It will position relatively with respect to its normal view. Okay, wherever its position is going to be in the normal view, with respect to that, from top it will be 50 pixel, from left it would be 70 pixel. So I will just show you that. Let me load this page. Okay, let me not load in the same browser tab. I will open one more tab so that you can see the difference. I will open the 8 relative position NXT. This one has the setting of relative. Now from here you can make out this is the normal position. Okay, from this is the normal view. From this normal view, it has moved relatively. How much it has moved relatively? As per the CSS, it has moved from top 50 pixel. So if this is the position, normal position, let me see. So approximately below element. Okay, so I will say from here. From here, it has moved 50 from the top and 70 left. That is the top 50 and from left 70. So that is how it has position. This is the new position, and these are the some properties that have been set. Just in order for you to clearly visibly see how it is moved from the normal view, left I will make it as 170 pixel. So it will, right now it is from here it is 70, it will move to 170. Just I will refresh, so you can see it has moved. So from normal view, this is the normal view. From normal view, it will move relative to normal view position. And how much it will move? From top 50 pixel and from left 170 pixel. I always told you it will be with respect to the top left corner. So this is the top left corner. From this position, it will move relatively. Okay, that is the relative positioning. So here is the example. Same example. We have a paragraph, we have a figure, and this is another paragraph. This is how it is displayed. And once you add the style for the figure and you give the position as relative, and you specify top 150 pixel from this corner. Okay, this is the normal view corner. From there it will move 150 pixel, and from there left 120 200 pixel, left 200 pixel. This is how it will get positioned. Then absolute positioning: when an element is positioned absolutely, it is removed completely from the normal flow. So when you say the absolute positioning, it will be removed. When you say relative, with respect to the normal flow, it will position itself. But when you say absolute, it will be completely removed from the normal flow. Unlike with the relative positioning, space is not left for the moved element, as it is no longer, excuse me, sorry, as it is no longer in the normal flow. Absolute positioning can get confusing. So we'll see the example. This is the one example we have, and this is the normal flow, and you can see this is the absolute flow. When you say the position as absolute, it has moved 150 from the its container. Okay, it is not in normal flow. So whatever is its ancestor container, from there, from that corner, here you can say browser viewport, from this point it will move, from this point, it will move 150 pixel. Okay, 150 pixel from top, and from left 200 pixel, from left 200 pixel. So this is how the image will be positioned. So I have a code for that. Just we can take a look, which is very similar code what we just saw. Absolute position. So you can see here absolute 150 and 200 pixel. And also I have absolute positioning for figure caption. Just you can experiment in the example given in the slide. It is for only figure, and here it is mentioned for the figure caption. Along with the figure caption will also get repositioned. I will load this page. This is absolute position. So you can see from this it has positioned itself. If you make any changes, you say like 250, you just increase. So you can see, so it will relative to, it will not, it will be totally removed from the normal flow, and as per the absolute positioning, whatever the position is specified, it will get positioned according to that. A moved element via absolute position is actually positioned relative to nearest positioned ancestor container. That is what I said. So whichever is the ancestor container, for here example, figure, for the figure ancestor container, maybe body is there, or you can consider the viewport. With respect to that position, with respect to that location, left top corner, it will position itself according to what is the value set for top and left. So this is the example of, okay, here is the next example where we are positioning both figure as well as the caption. So you can see the caption here. Earlier case, this was the caption, because we just said figure, and figure caption is inside the figure. When you say absolute for the figure caption, for figure caption also you are saying absolute with respect to its ancestor. Who is figure caption ancestor? Figure caption ancestor is figure. So relative to this figure, it will position itself, okay, because it is its ancestor. So that is how you have seen in this particular example also. Just I will say, I will make this as 150 so that you can see the figure caption will change its position. So you can see relative to this corner, it will position itself. Okay, that is how the fig caption, absolute positioning for the fig caption. Next is a Z index. When overlapping elements items closest to the viewer having the larger Z index. So sometimes if we have the overlapping elements, whichever is closest to the viewer, okay, whichever is on the top will be having the larger Z index value. Okay, only positioned elements will make use of their Z index. Simply setting the Z index value of element will not necessarily move them on top or behind other items. So for example, here if you are placing two elements on top of each other because of the positioning, which one you want to bring on to the top, which one you want to take it to the back, that can be decided using the Z index. So here is the example we have. Now you can see this position is absolute figure. So it will position, this figure will be positioned with respect to this corner 150, 150 and 200 pixel, and figure caption, it is positioned with respect to this corner, that is 90 pixel and 140 pixel. So this is how it will be positioned here. Right now if you see, they have the image is in the behind, and on top of that we have the overlapping figure caption. Now if you set the Z index, if you set it as a Z index as 5 for the figure, and figure caption as Z index as 1, so this one is the larger value. So it will be whichever is having the larger values, it will come on top. But in this case, it has to be like a positive and negative values. Let me show that here. So here figure has the a positive value, Z index is 1, and figure caption is minus value, -1. You can see the figure is on the top, right? The figure is on the top and the caption is behind. So because it is having a positive larger value, it comes to the closer to the view, and this one figure caption goes behind. Similarly, if you want to bring figure caption to the front, what you can do is you can set figure caption as 1 and Z index as -1. If the figure Z index is given a value less than 0, then any of its positioned descendant changes as well. Thus, both the figure and figure caption move underneath the body text. Okay, before we go to the fixed position, we'll see one example for the okay. You can see here I have figure Z index is -1, and for figure caption it is 1. So we will load this page. Rest of the things is same. There is no change in the document, same document. Okay, you can see here this is the figure, and on top of that we have the central park. If you want to change that, then we can do that. We will set this as 1 for the figure and -1 for the figure caption. Okay, you can see now it has gone back. The this one comes to the foreground and this goes to the background. Next, fixed position. The elements with a fixed position do not move when the user scrolls up or down the page. Means what? Irrespective of your scrolling, this element will remain in this position. Okay, it will not change. Here we have used the position as fixed, and what is the position we have given? From top 0 pixel, and from left 0 pixel, means it will be attached to this left top corner. Notice that figure is fixed in its position regardless of what part of the page is being viewed. So here you can see now the scroll bar is on the top and this image is displayed here. Now it has scroll bar has been brought to the completely downside. Still this rest of the document will move, rest of the document will scroll down, but this image will remain as is in its position if you select the position as fixed. We'll see with the example. Now this position is fixed. I am saying it for the figure. Now I will load that page. Okay, so in our case I am saying 10 pixel, 20 pixel. If you don't want that, you can say 0 and 0. So it is positioned according to whatever the left corner. Okay, we have padding and all those things, that's why you are seeing there is a little gap. You remove everything, padding, width and everything, it will be fine. Now if I resize, okay, some more I could, there is some issue with resizing my window. Okay, instead what I will do is I will include more content. Okay, now I got the scroll bar here, vertical scroll bar. Now I will scroll it down. You can see rest of the document is going down, but this image will it will remain in that fixed position. So if you want to do like this, your website has a requirement, maybe like you have a header for your web application where you want to show it on all the even though we scroll it down, you want to show it there, then you can use the fixed position for that particular HTML element. Then floating elements. Okay, so floating elements, so there are a couple of things we have to see here, floating elements with examples. So we'll see the floating elements in the next session.